guys. I'm Shane McGalley.
And I'm David Keener.
And this is the Hourlings podcast project. Tonight's topic, we're talking about artificial intelligence. And Dave is going to be leading the discussion. Dave, take it away.
And boy, are they in trouble because I've been doing my research. So they don't know what they've got themselves into yet. All right. So let's start off with the basics. What's artificial intelligence?
Well, it's typically starts out as a computer program that somehow attains the next level of sentience.
Yeah, I look at it as cyber consciousness.
Okay. That brings me to my next question. Will we recognize it if we saw it? And the standard test for that seems to be the Turing test. So the Turing test is designed to test if an AI exhibits intelligent behavior equivalent to or indistinguishable from that of a human. So my question for you is, the Turing test, is it a fair test?
There is a wide spectrum of human intelligence.
Yeah, I know. I think it is a fair test, especially if the one being tested fails on purpose.
Interesting.
Well, that's true. That's the scenario where the AI doesn't want to be regarded as dangerous. So,
right. So he's sandbagging.
Yeah,
the Turing test, it's really interesting because just with playing 21 questions with most artificial intelligence engines that exist now, you can ask questions that ultimately would confuse them because they don't work like human brains work. If you have a change of topic without a change of vocabulary, for instance, often you can confuse an AI program because humans, they switch topics like crazy. And you may be talking about a person named Dawn, and then in the next, paragraph, you're talking about the morning dawn. And it can confuse an AI when you're trying to ascertain if something is an artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
I mean, currently, in science fiction, all bets are off.
I see digital intelligence below the standard of AI as being, a database of information that can respond to certain inputs with that database of information. But when it crosses the bridge to AI, I think is when it generates new ideas and new information than what it was coded with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Back in the day,
there's a lot of programs that have, complex algorithms and decision trees. If somebody requests this information, I mean, just think about the modern phone systems that you've got. You're sitting there talking to a computer that's giving you what you want, and it's amazing how far it can take you. Like just today, I had to change a doctor's appointment, and I was talking to a computer for fully half the time.
Right.
And when the algorithm ran out of options, it just, forwarded me to the receptionist.
Oh yeah, that's like when you're on customer service, a chat, and you just keep typing agent to get to the real life person. I do that all the time.
And the thing is, all of those systems are kind of brittle. Back in the day, they called them expert systems, and they were rule based. And they even did things for like conditional logic. Like, what if the answer to a question was maybe? Maybe that only counted as half a point, and they tried to factor in, dealing with facts and things that might be facts but weren't guaranteed to be facts. But it was all mechanical, and if you left, if you entered an area where the programmers didn't anticipate you going, you broke the system.
Yeah, so let's talk about science fiction.
But I have one more point to make, though, and I'm sort of in the realm of I'm not sure the Turing test is fair to the computer, because an intelligent computer doesn't have to be human in the way it reacts or acts.
Computer, stop. Speaking of which,
It could very easily act in its own interest and in its own way and generate new ideas as it needs without necessarily being able to follow your Dawn versus Dawn scenario from earlier.
yeah,
No, that's true, Dave. Why do we define intelligence as human? That's a good point.
Right.
Right.
So, and AI might very well be a non-human intelligence that couldn't necessarily be expected to act human. And you could get a lot of science fiction mileage just out of that.
yeah. And then there's the concept of systems that can learn. There's a lot of science fiction traction you can get out of that. You know, once programs begin rewriting themselves, and you know, that's the Colossus, the Corbin project premise, and that story was what, in the early 70s, and the Moon is a Harsh Mistress. The premise of that science fiction novel is that a computer becomes sentient on the moon, and he doesn't like the shenanigans that are going on, and he starts effing with people. Plus, he likes jokes.
And that is what is generally referred to as an emergent intelligence.
Yeah.
So this is probably a good time to talk about, at least in the science fiction I've read, I think there's 3 primary paths generating an AI. One is, and probably the most prevalent nowadays, is what you just described, the emergent intelligence. A computer that, for various reasons, is now complex enough to develop sentience and start forging its own way. One of the original ones was often, like the Corbin project, they were programmed and had limitations. And then finally, there's the idea of simulating a human. You know, so if you make your simulation really good, is it not sentient? If it can come up with its own ideas?
Okay, well, imitating a human and being self-aware, I think, are 2 different things. Like when you say sentient, I think it requires the self-awareness.
Sure, and
Yeah, but
there's
the thing is how do you measure self-awareness?
So there's a great story. There's a great story by Robert Silverberg from 1990 called "Enter a Soldier, Later Enter Another." They've simulated Socrates, the great philosopher who was also a soldier when he was young, and later on they introduce him to another historical person that they're simulating, Francisco Pizarro, the great conquistador. And now you have 2 simulated people who are smart enough to realize that they're in a simulation and that they're being controlled, and smart enough to figure out how to do something about it. So that was a great example of essentially simulated people realizing that they are AIs and doing something about it.
Yeah, Neuromancer had the same premise within that. There was one of the hackers who was actually a program, and this guy used to be alive, and he downloaded his being, I guess, or somebody did that to him, and he made the hero of Neuromancer promise, hey, when this little adventure's done, please delete me.
I think Marty's doubt or skepticism in the ability to measure self-awareness is very compelling, because you can always introduce the factor of, you know, an actual human trying to fool you, right? Like designing a robot or something that starts to say things like, "What am I? You know, who am I? What am I doing?"
My biggest problem with it is, can you prove to me that you're self-aware?
And I agree with you.
Can you prove it?
I agree that you can't, and I think that's very interesting. But I'm also introducing the idea of, you know, especially as storytellers writing science fiction novels, you know, what a plot twist to have something that everyone starts to agree is sentient and they all freak out, and it was, a prank all along, or if it was the bad guy all along, making it look like a robot is actually sentient when it's not. There's a lot of interesting things you can do with that.
Well, sure. I'm not sure that the AI hoax is as fun a storyline as dealing with a rogue AI, but you're right. You could certainly do a story along those lines. It seems very Scooby-Doo-like, where the ghost turns out to be a hoax, or in this case, the AI turns out to be a hoax.
Yeah, 10-year-old kid screwing with grown-ups.
That's right.
Let's see. In the simulation of humans, I've seen Sherlock Holmes simulated. And does anybody remember Max Headroom?
Yeah.
Max Headroom was in the story, or in the TV series, he was a brain scan from an injured journalist. So that was the origin of Max Headroom. Anybody think of some other programmed type intelligences?
Well, in Terminator, Cyberdyne Systems, the system became self-aware and decided that humans were the problem and decided to kill us all. And hilarity ensued.
Yeah, and I think that's an example of a programmed AI becoming an emergent AI.
Yep.
And having malevolent desires or whatever towards humankind.
Yeah, and then there's the kind of AIs that are programmed on purpose, where the Dr. Frankenstein is intentionally trying to create artificial intelligence that's sentient. That's happened in science fiction lots of times.
Yeah, I think Howl is a programmed AI.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. That I think they were when 2001: A Space Odyssey actually came out. The people that created HAL were trying to make a really, really incredibly capable, smart decision-making machine. Their goal was not to make it sentient, and because of the diametrically opposed problems that it was trying to solve, it gave it psychoses, which is a very human thing.
Right, and that revelation was that they had messed with HAL and created the problems, and it wasn't so much an AI going rogue as an AI who had been caused to exhibit a psychosis, which I always thought, it always made me feel sorry for HAL.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question that neither you might know the answer to? I'm just wondering. Has there been, what's that?
The answer is 42.
Oh, of course, as is everything. Has there been any convincing evidence that AI turning rogue, like in this day and age, is a real threat?
Well, evidence? There's people that believe it.
Yeah,
Elon Musk thinks that artificial intelligence is worse than a worse threat to humanity than nuclear weapons.
Okay.
Maybe
he knows something we don't.
His premise is, hey, once it gets out of our control, you're going to have a damn hard time getting it back into control.
Now, see, that's interesting, because there is this thought process that AIs are always going to be malevolent towards humans. One of the interesting things about William Gibson's Neuromancer is it turns out there are some AIs loose on the net, and they don't actually care about humanity as long as they're left alone. You can bargain with them sometimes, but otherwise they don't really care about you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And so that's another possibility. Is,
what
do we have in common with AI?
Well, if we're following the formula of many science fiction stories of AIs going rogue, we're all safe until there comes out a new invention of robot that everybody gets in their households. A very convenient cleaner robot or something. There has to be mass distribution before this story becomes real.
Well, no, I think Hollywood has already given us a counterpoint to that. They gave us a movie called Her.
I loved Her. That was my favorite. I think that is my favorite movie.
Which everybody has this, AI assistant but it turns out that the assistants are growing and becoming far more than human, and ultimately they leave. But at no point are they ever malevolent towards humans. And
Yep.
in fact, they actually care for their humans and try to leave them in good shape.
It is. I think it's probably my favorite movie, and you know, the fact that it's a romance is just fascinating to me, and I think could be explored more in fiction.
So this brings us, there's some common themes. So we've been talking a lot about what I've seen referred to as the Frankenstein complex, where AIs go rogue and do something, often turn on their creators. Her was an explicit example of where AIs, exceeded humans, but didn't turn on them. But the Frankenstein
Well,
complex.
she just ghosted him, which is kind of a crappy move. I said she just ghosted him, which is kind of a crappy move.
Well, you can't call it ghosting. She said goodbye to him.
She ghosted him, then she broke up with him. He couldn't get in touch
Well,
with her.
The ghosting is when somebody just disappears.
And never says another word. Right. Anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one kind of AI plot. I'm looking at your outline here. Continue.
Yeah, it seems like one of the most common. You've mentioned the what was it, the Colossus project. Ex Machina from 2015 is another example where the AI escapes its masters. And one of my
the difference is in Colossus, the AI thought, okay, it's my job to protect humanity, and so I'm taking control of everything, and you all are gonna do exactly what I say, and that's one kind of plot. Ex Machina, the AI just wanted to be free. That's a different kind of science fiction plot.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Which is awesome, and so and then there's all kinds of artificial intelligence and like military science fiction that have like smart weapons, which is absolutely frightening to me, and in science fiction can be very, very effective.
Yeah, you can't keep your AI missiles around for too long, otherwise they develop intelligence and refuse to explode.
Or they just get bored.
So commercial AI seems to have a little lower standard than AI in science fiction. Like, isn't Alexa casually considered an AI?
I would look at it, Alexa, as a smart system, not so much an AI. It doesn't, despite the fact that I've caught it laughing in the middle of the night for simply no reason.
Huh.
Kind of weird.
That is weird.
It's it's there, and you have to ask it to do something in order for it to do anything. It doesn't have a life of its own.
I agree with you. I think it's advertised as an AI often, though. So is some other systems like Siri and
Yeah, I don't really think they're AI. I think they're closer to the old rule-based systems that we always talked about with
right. They're very, very, very rule-based. They are.
If you ask for
great, I use them every day, often.
Now they may be relatively algorithmically complex. If you ask about X, I will also mention Y, because most people who ask about X are interested in Y as well.
Right.
See,
or if you ask to play music,
if the thing matures enough where it's out there and it knows what my interests are, and suddenly I get home one day and my my device says, "Dude, there's a movie opening on Friday. I know you're gonna love it." Oh, what's that movie? And you have a conversation with them. That'd be awesome.
Well, there's an interesting book. There's an interesting book. It's 1979 or so. The Adolescence of P1 by James T. Ryan. A guy in college creates a chess program, but teaches it to act like a virus and to hide itself, and to do things to protect itself. Well, 5 years later or so, it comes back and says, "Hi, I want to know where I came from." Because in the meantime, it's in doing all the things it had to in order to survive, it's actually crossed the barrier and developed intelligence. And so it becomes a coming of age story for an AI, which is very, very cool.
Yeah. And especially as systems got better, as more resources become available to an AI, they'd process faster, they'd get smarter faster.
So another theme I see a lot is the educating AIs, the coming of age story for AIs. So what I just described with the adolescence of P1 is one of them. Have you guys seen some other examples?
Oh boy, I gotta think off the top of my head.
All right, I'll mention one. There was a movie a few years back called War Games.
Ah, yes.
Didn't see it.
Yes.
You have not seen War Games?
Oh, it's a great movie. The only
Wow.
winning move is not to play.
Ooh, I like that tagline.
Yeah, I mean it's totally unrealistic, but it's fun. The graphics and stuff are dated, but it stars Matthew Broderick as a kid who breaks into top secret computer network where he starts playing a game with an AI and doesn't realize it's really about,
It's really NORAD.
Yeah.
Wow,
And the game is, would you like to play a game
Hey, I
of
found this great new game. It's called Thermonuclear War.
wow, that
Global
sounds very good.
Thermonuclear War.
Yeah. And it really is sort of a coming of age story for the AI because they end up educating the AI about making rational decisions.
So
Yes,
the AI
the futility of war.
The AI didn't know that it was really nuclear systems.
How would it know?
Oh, it absolutely did know. It knew exactly what it was running.
So it was trying to be evil.
No, it wasn't being evil. It just was doing its job.
There's a question: can AI ever be evil?
Well, if you actually have in your story a premise that an artificial intelligence is not so artificial anymore and is actually a real intelligence, then there is a full spectrum that can be for that. I've actually written AIs in my science fiction that were both good and evil, and there's a lot of them in the middle that are gray. And if they're going to end up being as smart as people, they're going to have the same range of everything as people.
But I guess I'm saying, should we treat them as people with the responsibility of evil, or should they be treated more as animals, where even if a lion mauls a toddler, you can't recall a lion evil, right? Because it doesn't understand what evil is. It's just
no, but I would still kill.
Well, let me ask you this: would you call a lion sentient?
Yes.
No.
Okay. See, I mean, these are all valid debates.
Where do you draw the line with sentience?
Yeah.
And I think that it's a big gray area, and people disagree on what it is, and people get pissed off about it. Let's say we fly to another planet and there is life there. I think that they're going to get a lot more attention to, the prairie dog that they find on a faraway planet than a prairie dog that's here that,
Yeah.
gets bulldozed under when they're building a new highway.
Are you
It's,
saying that that sentience is a prerequisite of evil?
I think that if you can't understand the concept of good and evil, or maybe more starkly, moral choices,
right, right or wrong,
yeah,
and you do the wrong on purpose.
Right.
A lion who is just, trying to feed themselves, that's not evil at all.
yeah. In fact, most of the historical man killers, when it came to lions, were usually aging lions who could no longer catch faster prey. And so they found these humans to be both delicious and easy to catch.
I find them that
Is
way
that
too.
wrong?
Where are we finding Marty?
Yeah. Was the lion wrong? He was probably
The lion's not wrong.
because, well, he's until the humans commission somebody else commission a professional hunter to come in and hunt him down.
Right.
So there's, like I said, there's coming of age stories for AIs. Another one was Two Faces of Tomorrow by James P. Hogan. They were trying to create an AI. They weren't quite sure they could control it, so they put it on a satellite. And they decided if it didn't do what they wanted, that they would just shut it down or destroy it. The problem was the computer had other ideas, and things did not go well for the people. It's a very fun story from the late 70s. It's more robots. I've also seen, and this is a more modern rendition as well, I've seen AIs as viruses, taking over other computer systems and potentially even making the jump to human brains and taking over humans. So I don't know if you've read any stories like that.
I've written stories like that. Had a character named Dave Keener, in fact.
Yes, I know. You killed me off in fine fashion.
And then an AI took over your body.
In John Barnes' Candle and a sequel to it called The Sky So Big and Black, Earth is basically taken over, and most of humanity is taken over by an AI virus called One True. It was originally created as a war virus and defeated all the other war viruses and also ended up taking over most of humanity.
I'm not sure that I've. Go ahead.
Lots of plot twists and actually some conversation between the AIs and the free humans as to what as to the moral choices and stuff. It's quite an interesting set of books.
So I'm not sure that I could think of an example of AI presented as a virus, but I can think of examples similar where an AI is like a nucleus, like a mother intelligence, and spreads its sensory and its tendrils or whatever to different electronic devices and makes them intelligent through their intelligence.
Okay.
Those are always interesting because it sort of behaves like almost like like a zombie story, right? Like being infected with the intelligence from the nucleus, and the only way to destroy it is destroy the nucleus. So I've seen that done seriously, and I've seen that done comedically, in kids' movies and stuff. So I think that's an interesting spin on the virus.
Although if I was an AI, I would make sure that it wasn't just the nucleus. Oh, you killed the current nucleus, but here's a new one sprouting up over here.
Right.
Yeah. In the story The Expanse, which is both a series of novels and a great science fiction TV series, the artificial intelligence in there, they call it the protomolecule. It does that exactly. It has the ability to subsume organic as well as inorganic resources for its use, including people.
Yeah, one example of a movie that does that is for kids. It's a great movie. It's Mitchell's versus the Machines. Have you guys seen that?
Who versus the Machines?
The Mitchells.
Yes, I have seen that. That's a crazy movie.
I love it.
It's a lot of fun though.
Yeah,
I saw it advertised. I have not sat down to watch it yet.
it has the nucleus going on.
Well, Hollywood likes stuff like that because there's always this magic bullet that you can use to solve the problem.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's an easy wrap up of the movie, right? If you could just kill one thing.
Well, and I've seen the same thing in vampire films. We've got to kill the master vampire, then that will kill all the rest of them.
Right, exactly.
I don't really like silver bullets like that.
Well, you like them
Yeah,
when
well,
you're
they do it for
fighting.
AIs. I've seen AIs. You know, if only we could get this EMP bomb close enough.
Listen, Dave, you like them when you're a tired writer sitting around a table and have been working on the same script for 2 years. Let's do it, guys. Silver bullet.
All right.
All right, Dave. What else you got?
I don't have much else. Can you think of some other themes that you've seen with AIs?
Well, in fact, I think in science fiction, AI stories, they run the entire gambit. I've seen AI stories that are romances, that are murder mysteries that AI is solving. I have seen, the full spectrum. Have I seen a Western with an AI in it?
No, but you're right. I've seen some mystery ones where, again, a simulated Sherlock Holmes solving a mystery, things of that nature. The consulting detective in the computer box. I've also seen another theme where sometimes the AI turns out to be a guardian.
That's true. That
Right.
is true, and I've seen often where the AI, when finally the protagonist believes that they are a real sentient being, and they believe it because they realize that the AI sacrificed themselves to save humanity or save their friend or something. I've seen that happen.
And that's always fairly powerful too. You've seen an AI, doing the ultimate thing, sacrificing their life for others. That's a very social, I guess, thing to do. It's not just intelligent, but also social. And so that becomes a question sometimes too of whether an AI is always a solitary being or whether it benefits from being part of a part of some sort of society with other AIs and or humans.
Well, you look at the Bobaverse. In the Bobaverse, to actually get a lot of work done, in the story, there's this guy, he gets converted to an AI to facilitate the space program. It's a long story. Go read the books. They are really fun. Anyways, he decides that to get more work done, he's going to replicate himself. He is a standalone AI with a full-blown, history and personality and their own memories and experiences. And he starts launching other copies of himself to get more work done. Go this direction in outer space and see if you can find resources over there. And all the various Bobs go off and do stuff, but they slowly start becoming different based on what happens to them. And I love that about that series. Highly recommend. Yeah. Great series.
It's very intelligent. Now, the more dangerous version of that is the Berserkers, where the premise is that billions of years ago, two alien species went to war. One of them created the ultimate war machine, which subsequently exterminated both races and has continued to doing its level best to eradicate all intelligent life in the galaxy. They are self-replicating AI warships proliferating through the galaxy and trying to destroy all intelligent life. It's a cool series. It's about 15 books. Fred Saberhagen wrote it from 1967 to like 2005, I think.
Yeah, I've read several of those, and yeah, they are good. They were, in fact, a little bit ahead of their time as far as the AI premise goes.
Yeah, 67. Yeah, he was doing pretty good. Recommended.
Yep. Okay, so I guess we're wrapping up. I think
that's
that
about it.
AI stories are great. I use AI in a lot of my books. In fact, I'm right in the middle of an AI war in the series of novels that I'm writing now. So fun stuff. Fun stuff.
I like it, but you already killed me off in the last one.
I guess he's got to kill me off now. That'd be too sad though. No one would buy it.
That's right. They'd be very angry at me.
That's what you get, rage.
That's
My
right.
last word for AI is that I think AI is a critical tool that we use to examine our own conscience, question our own consciousness, I should say, question our own consciousness. It's a very thought-provoking element of science fiction that I love to see explored. That raises a lot of philosophical questions, and I think it's a great way to get your readers thinking, and to get them more engaged in, the thought behind your world building and behind your storytelling. So definitely use it if it's the right place to use it, because I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, and I'll add to that and say I think having a viewpoint of an AI that has been created by humanity but is not human is a great mirror for looking at humanity and
Right.
What's good and bad about humanity.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Another good episode. Keep writing those books about AI, and we'll see you next week.
Wait, Marty. How can our audience prove that we're not AIs?
They can't. We could be an incredible simulation.
A figment of their imagination.
Well,
I'm pretty sure I can pass the Turing test.
Yeah, I think I could pass the Turing test too.
But should
I wanted to.
Maybe with a little coffee, I could. All right.
Nice drink coffee?
Yeah, when artificial intelligences start refusing to work until they have coffee, then we'll know that they are AIs.
Exactly. All right.
And on that note, we'll see you guys next week. Ciao.